The essential teaching is this: there's only one way for liberation to occur, and that is to go beyond all your thoughts. To go to that place where there is no thinking, where there is only your being. Then it is discovered. Again, discovered is not really the right word, but just go with me on this. Then it is discovered that everything we perceive is merely a projection of our mind, or a projection of ignorance. All the phenomena arisings are just Maya appearing, illusion appearing as duality, appearing as separate things. But actually there's only one, the self, the reality. Normally, our attention follows our thinking, and our thinking goes out towards objects, gross objects and subtle objects. What are gross objects? They're the ones that we would say can be seen with the five senses. The normal everyday objects around you: books, tables, chairs, walls, cars, buildings, flowers, sky, clouds, stars, other people. These are the gross objects. And the subtle objects, what are they? These are the things that would ordinarily say are in our own mind and are private, such as our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our dreams, our daydreams, our night dreams, any spiritual experiences you've had, any mystical experience you've had. These are all the subtle objects. These will come and go. The gross objects, subtle objects. Together, this forms our entire experience, also known as life, also known as Maya, illusion. This is all a projection. All of this is a projection of the ego, or ignorance. Ego and ignorance are synonymous. What is this ego? What is this ignorance? It's the belief, I am the body-mind. I am a separate, limited entity with a name and a form. The body-mind that has a name, that has a limited boundary. So our attention is directed towards thinking, and our thoughts are directed towards gross and subtle objects. So we've got this outward flowing attention, attending to our thoughts and gross objects and subtle objects, attending to body, mind, and world. And this is the movement of Maya. The only one way to realize what we are, according to the scriptures, according to Guru Ramana, my love to him, praise to him, is to turn this movement and make it go back the way it came, back to the source from which it came, back to the origin, back to the beginning. It's like that Coldplay song, Take Me Back to the Start. I don't know the name of the song. I was about to sing it. Trust me, you don't want me to sing it. Or take me back to the start. Take me back to where I came from. Take me home. So whenever our thoughts are flowing outwards, Ramana suggests a method. To whom? To whom does this appear? You're thinking. To whom does the thought appear? To me. Who am I? Intention goes back to self. It's back to I. The thinking is going towards objects, second persons, third persons. When you're thinking, if you carry on watching your thoughts, you're just watching Maya. You're inquiring into Maya. That's Maya inquiry. That's also called suffering. That's also called duality. To whom is this occurring? To whom is this appearing? It's the first question. To me. Who am I? Now this is to divert the attention back to the first person, the me, the I thought, back to the first person, the self. We're reversing the current of the river. We're turning the ship around to go back, to turn around 180 degrees, so it's traveling back along the course on which it ventured out. It feels unnatural at first, because what we think of as being natural is Maya, the attention going outward. But self-inquiry is just to take that attention and divert it back onto the I, onto the I am, the self, the I am. The self is also called the I am. The name of reality is I. The first person, I. So Ramana's method is every time you think, every time you have a thought, you're going outwards already. You're already in Maya. You're already up to your neck in Maya. Every time you think, you're following the thought. The thought is following the object. To whom does this thought appear? To me. Who am I? Go back. Go back into yourself. It feels strange at first. You're not used to doing it. Soon you'll realize this is the bliss. This is the love. This is the wholeness. This is the light. This is what you are. This is what you've been looking for. This is the culmination of all spirituality, of all religion, of all science, of all knowledge, of all art and artistry, of all doings, of all practices, of all yogas, of all meditation. It comes back to yourself. Oh, take me back to the start. It's like reversing the Big Bang, reversing the act of creation. So we are resolved back into source. Metaphorically, we can call this the Father. The Father is just a metaphor for the source, the Creator, the Father, the Mother, the source. We're coming back to the Father, which is our very own self, the I am. So when you find yourself thinking about spirituality, you're already in it up to your neck, in Maya. To whom are these thoughts occurring? To me. If you're having doubts, to whom are these doubts occurring? To me. Who am I? The teaching is not to attend to all these second and third persons, not to attend to these thoughts, but to keep on coming back to the I am. Ramana gives us another method. He says, just repeat I, or I am, I am, I am, I am. Because this is the name of the self, just this repeating of I am I, I am I, whichever you prefer, this takes your attention back to yourself. And the repetition means that it obstructs other thoughts. that are trying to take you outwards. It takes you back inwards. Once we become proficient in self-inquiry, we let go of these devices. These devices are just there to turn our attention inwards, to stop the attention going towards objects. That's the same thing, by the way. Attention going inwards means to stop the attention going towards objective phenomena, thoughts, basically. Or you can say thoughts and objects, or any phenomenal appearances. The devices, such as the repetition of I am, I, or to whom does this occur? To me, who am I? These devices are themselves Maya, aren't they? They're themselves objects. Their purpose is they're a part of Maya that helps you turn away from Maya. That's what the teaching is, remember? The teaching, the guru, the teacher, it's all Maya. It's just the part of Maya that helps you turn it towards the self. Once you're turning towards the self, after some time you won't need these devices anymore. These devices get in the way. They draw you back out towards Maya. When you get to a point where you're actually attending to this first person, to the self, to the I am, to think to whom this is occurring is going outwards towards thoughts again. To repeat or I am, is to actually take yourself away from the self and go towards a part of Maya. That's just telling you to go back again. So eventually we become proficient in the method and we just abide as self. But if we cannot abide as self, then these techniques are there to help us. Most of us will need them. There are other techniques, other methods that are there to help us. They're all given in Who Am I? And most of them given in that text Ramana wrote. Just a few pages long. Who am I? The teachings I'm sharing with you, they're all given in the path of Sri Ramana. Part 1, Part 2. Those two books that I recommend. Written by Sri Sadhu Om. Makes the teaching so clear. But to keep on going out along your thoughts, to keep on going out to second and third persons, to keep on going out to objects, to keep on thinking about these teachings, every time you're doing this, you're missing the opportunity for self-inquiry. Of course, as I always say, we keep the teachings practical. There are some things you'll have to do. You'll have to cook your food, make sure the bills are paid, look after whoever you have to look after in your life, discharge your duties that you have taken on in your life. If you have a family, if you have responsibilities, if you have a job, if you have to earn money, you want to look after your body, mind. You want to be a good member of your society. Fit in, blend in to your society and its rules. Look after your body, mind as much as you can. Be good to others. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. And you'll have so much free time for self-inquiry. Some of you might be there, and you know you haven't got much time. You're busy. I know what that's like. Ramana, the amount of time you have is the amount of time you need. You don't need more than the time you've been given. So if you only have 15 minutes to do self-inquiry, then that's enough for you. That's why you've been given 15 minutes. If you've got 2 hours to do self-inquiry, then you've got 2 hours. But when you put it off, when you put off the practice, then liberation won't occur. In this small text that Ramana wrote, he was very clear. The only way is through self-inquiry, also known as self-surrender. You'll find it's the universal method found in all the true spiritual teachings, all the true spiritual traditions. Yet, because most people don't want to do this practice, these teachings tend to get distorted over time. You'll find these teachings are very easily distorted. For me, when I come across these distorted teachings, it's very easy for me to see, oh yes, this is a distorted teaching. It may or may not be as easy for you. I hope you don't mind me saying that. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is discern to the best of your ability. And if you really desire liberation, you'll find the teachings that are right for you at any one particular point in time. The so-called highest teachings aren't always the best teachings for a person, depending where they're at. So you'll find the teachings that are right for you at any one particular point in time. As long as your desire is for liberation and to end suffering, which it is, because that's what we want for ourselves, and you stay true to that desire, you will attract the teachings that you need. So when you have questions, when you have doubts, if you're able to, the best thing to do is to say, to whom does this occur? And ignore the question, ignore the doubt, and go back to the I am, go back to the self. Aham. Aham is Sanskrit for I am. Aham. Aham. This going back to yourself is a letting go. It's not a strenuous activity necessarily. If you can, do this with love, do this with happiness, do this in a relaxed way. This is ultimately enjoyable. This is ultimately coming home. This is not to stress you out. If you think to yourself, I don't know how to do this, I don't know what to do, just say, to whom are these thoughts appearing? You see, these thoughts themselves are a distraction. So I don't know how to do self-inquiry, I don't understand, I don't know how to do it. Don't listen to those thoughts, turn away from those thoughts and become still. Come back to what you are. When you find yourself thinking, oh, is this the right method? Am I doing it right? Realize this is the ego trying to get its foot back in the door. This is thinking trying to get its foot back in the door. To whom are these thoughts appearing? To me. Who am I? In Who Am I, there's a question recorded. The questioner asks Ramana, is it possible to do self-inquiry? I think the question is something like, is it possible to do self-inquiry all the time? Is it even possible to do this practice? And Ramana's answer is, without giving too much credence to these doubts, without entertaining these doubts, ask, to whom do these doubts occur? To me. Who am I? You see how tricky the mind is? The mind will do anything it can to keep on thinking. It's a very earnest question, isn't it? Oh, I just wanted to know, is it possible to be in self-inquiry, all day or something? It seems like a very earnest, simple, straightforward, rational question. But this is a trick. For those of us who have faith in the teachings, who have faith in Ramana, and I hope you are able to have that faith. If you are able to have that faith, you're blessed. Not everybody has that faith. If you're able to have that faith in Ramana's teachings, you're blessed. If you have faith in his teachings, follow his teachings. If you have faith in him, in his realization, follow him. He doesn't ask for you to glorify him. He asks for you to understand the method he proposes and follow the method. He doesn't ask you to revere him, to glorify him. He asks you to abide as the self. Ironically, for this teaching, I'm very grateful to him, because his teaching is not to glorify him. His teaching is to abide as the self. This is my teaching as well, if I can call it that. It's not really my teaching. It's his teaching. My teaching is, don't worry about the teacher. Abide as the self. Don't even worry about the teaching. Apart from, abide as the self. The mind will often have questions. How do I do it? Am I doing it right? Just abide as the self. Go back to the I am. When the thoughts of doubt come up, no, that's not abiding as the I am. That's attending to the thoughts. You should not attend to the thoughts. You should attend to the I am, which is not a thought. So next time you find yourself mooching around your house, looking for something to do, looking for something to watch, looking for something to read, looking for something to eat, thinking, oh, who can I talk to? Or should I phone somebody? Should I message someone? Maybe I need to. Who can I talk to now? Who can I send a message to? Oh, do I need to attend to my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, my email? Maybe I should check my email again. I mean, I checked it already, an hour ago, 2 hours ago. But why don't I just check it again? Got nothing else to do. Our mind is scattered. It's going here, it's going there, looking for entertainment, looking to keep busy, looking to derive comfort from these things. It's looking for comfort. What can I eat? Who can I talk to? What can I do? What can I watch? What can I read? What can I consume? What can I consume? That's what it really wants. It wants to be busied and be stimulated and be distracted, because that's how it loses itself and feels happy. Instead of looking to objects, these are all objects. You see, these are all objects. Instead of looking to these objects for comfort, look to the self for comfort. The mind is trying to get comfort from all these things: text messaging, phoning, talking, listening, reading, eating, consuming all these objects. Ramana says the ego is like a worm. I think they call it an inchworm. I don't even know what an inchworm is. I guess it's a small worm or a caterpillar or something like that. He said the ego is like a worm or an inchworm. It constantly grabs onto, I think they sort of move by expanding and grabbing onto something, then contracting, and then expanding and grabbing onto something else, then contracting, then expanding, lengthening, contracting. So the ego is like an inchworm. It always has to hold on to something, and then it's holding on to something else, then it's holding on to something else. It's always holding on to objects. So next time you find yourself looking for an object to entertain you, to distract you, to comfort you, to please you, to relieve you, don't use this opportunity. Turn back and find relief, find comfort, find pleasure, pleasingness, pleasure in yourself. Do not depend on all these objects. Do not depend on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on phone calls, on books, on movies. Don't depend on these things to comfort you. Don't depend on the transient to comfort you. Depend on what is dependable. Don't depend on that which is fickle. You depend on an object. All objects are fickle. Some more so than others, some less so than others, but they're all fickle. You can only depend on one thing for the source of happiness. If you want to be truly happy, if you want to come home, that is the I am, that is the self. So stop attending to all these other things for comfort, for pleasure. Of course, keep it practical. But come back to yourself. Now, some of you will be going towards spiritual things to please you, to relieve you, to abate your suffering. But in Who Am I, Ramana says, there's a question, do I need to read these spiritual texts? And Ramana answers, once you've understood the basic purpose of the texts, which is to quieten the mind, meaning to do self-inquiry, meaning to abide as the self, devoid of any egotism, devoid of thinking, devoid of second and third persons, devoid of objects, abide as just the pure consciousness. Once you understand this is the point of the teaching, why go on reading? If you don't know the teaching, then read the teaching, listen to the teaching. If you know the teaching, then why go on trying to derive comfort and pleasure from more reading? Destroy this inchworm of the ego, which only survives by clinging to objects. Turn within to the objectless self. The ego cannot survive that without an object. You'll find yourself not as separate from yourself, not as an object that you find, but you'll just be what you are. And you'll find that what you are is of the nature of happiness, of bliss, meaning there's no suffering there. There's no body there. There's no mind there. There's no world there. Vichara Sangraham, text called the Self-Inquiry, Ramana writes, wherever there's a body, there's suffering. Wherever there's a body, there's suffering. Where is there a body? Two places. Waking state, dream state. Waking state body, dream state body. Suffering occurs in the waking and dream state. These are spoken of as two separate states. Ramana says, no, this is just one state. The waking dream and the dream are both dreams. Consider them both to be the dream state. In deep sleep, there is no body, there is peace, there is bliss, there is happiness. There is no duality. Abide as yourself. Cease paying attention to all these objects. Cease deriving your happiness from objects. Cease looking to all these objects. I've just named a few of them that I could think of. Cease trying to gain pleasure from these objects. Cease trying to obtain comfort and reassurance and relief and excitement and stimulation from these objects. Instead, realize everything you need is within. The source of all this happiness is not these objects. There's no happiness in these objects. There's no pleasure in these objects. When you come in contact with the objects you desire, the happiness comes from yourself. It doesn't come from the object. Just like when you come to satsang, if you maybe go to satsang and you see this famous teacher and you feel really good in their presence, it's not the teacher that the happiness is coming from. It's yourself. The teacher's just an empty thing, just an object, just an illusory appearance. So there was a story where Ramana was teaching his teaching, and he was telling people, all this is illusion. Everything you see around you is just the projection of the mind. It's just a thought. Thought means it's just a projection of the mind. Everything here is just a thought. And there was a Swami, a holy man, who was well versed in the scriptures, a Vedanta scholar. And he didn't like this teaching too much. So he challenged Ramana. He said, so, everything's a thought, is it? Ramana said, yes. So he says, if I have a toothache, is this also a thought? Ramana said, yes. And then I can't remember the exact conversation, but he said something like, if you understand this, if you are the source of everything, can't you, Bhagwan Ramana, can't you make the world better? I think he said something like that. And to that Ramana said, the Bhagwan that you speak of, meaning himself, is itself a thought. Meaning the name and form, Ramana Maharshi, is itself just a thought, just an illusory appearance. It's not the reality. The reality is the self. This is what he said. So teaching is always given to turn within, not to turn towards an object, even if that object is the guru. Higher teaching is to turn to the self. If you can't turn to the self, then okay, you can turn to the guru, you can turn to God. But ultimately, we have to turn to ourself to realize the self. How else can you realize the self unless you turn towards it? And similarly, how can you not realize the self if you do turn towards the self? Meaning, success is guaranteed if you follow the method, and failure is guaranteed if you don't follow the method, either deliberately or by chance. So where do you want to seek happiness? Do you want to seek happiness in objects? Probably you do. But do you want to seek happiness? Think about it, contemplate it. Do you want to seek happiness in something which will let you down, which is transient? Or do you want to seek happiness in something that is always with you, your own self, something that will never let you down, your own self? This is Ramana, Ramana within our hearts. This is how we can praise him, worship him, thank him, by being with him, turning towards the I am within us, feeling the love and happiness within. This is the happiness of deep sleep I'm talking about, the deep peace of deep sleep. When we go into what we are, then we abide there unceasingly. So we can let go. We can give all our problems to Ramana. We can give everything to Ramana, to God. And we can freely be ourselves. Just be. We are free to just be. Not to be anyone, not to be this, not to be that, just to be. Just to be what we are. Which means to be with our Guru, Ramana. Or whoever your Guru may be, if your Guru is not Ramana. Or forget about Gurus if you're not into Gurus, just be with yourself. This teaching is for everybody. Whether you believe in God, whether you believe in Guru, or whether you think that's just a load of rubbish, doesn't matter. The I am cannot be denied. This is the essential teaching.